Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today we're going to cover some midweek games for the Championship. We made it to week 28 amazingly. We are really starting to get to the crunch time of the Championship season now. Some gaps being formed in the crucial areas of the table. Got some really big games coming up as well that we're all going to predict. As always guys, please make sure you leave your predictions in the comments down below. If you do want to score some points in the Lexalexus Football Prediction League, all you're going to do is leave your score predictions to score as many points as humanly possible. I cannot promise you when an update will be. I've managed to update to week 26. I've got so much going on in the past couple of months or so much so I don't know if I can consistently make weekly prediction videos yet. But stay tuned to learn more about what's going to be going on. I'm going to be trying my best to keep up with it, but we have got a really busy couple of months of football, non-stop football to predict as well. So ultimately we are entering almost the final stretch already of games that is really going to determine where each team is going to finish in the Championship. And all for more, it will be more entertaining for us as well. If you guys like what you see, please smash the like button. It really does help. 50 likes will be absolutely appreciated. Please do hit the subscribe button too. It really does help. And please also share the channel too. All three of these things are free to do and they really help. But without any further ado, let's start predicting the midweek games for the Championship. We kick off our predictions with Blackburn against Coventry. Blackburn going into this game losing against Oxford United, and their results have alternated in their past 5 games from a loss-win basis. Much better at home. Their last home performance, of course, was that 3-0 win over Portsmouth. They were really comfortable actually in that last game. Coventry, they picked up a win themselves with a clean sheet, which I gotta say, they've not picked up too many clean sheets since Frank Lampard has come in, but a really good goal from Brandon Thomas Asante making the difference in that game to give Coventry a win where at the moment they're looking comfortable-ish, I would say. I won't say they are fully safe yet, because I do think with a lot of the teams near the bottom picking up 3 points, it is making that section of the table really competitive. But certainly Frank Lampard has come in picking up enough points and in a consistent enough basis that Coventry do look like that they're going to be a mid-table team this year rather than a relegated side or a top 6 side. As a prediction here, I wouldn't be surprised with Blackburn being back at home. I think they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable with their ways. And with Coventry's inconsistency, I wouldn't be surprised with a win follows a defeat for them as well. And as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Blackburn. I just really back their home form at the moment. But honestly, a draw for Coventry wouldn't surprise me because they certainly have improved their performances, Coventry. But based on home advantage and home form, I'm going to be backing Blackburn for a 2-0 win. Next up, we've got Derby going up against Sunderland. This is going to be quite a major game for both sides for differing reasons. Derby were involved in the defeat last time out against Watford, a 2-0 home defeat. And considering Pride Park was the strong point for Derby, they are really struggling to pick up points not only at home but points overall. It's 4 defeats in a row for Derby. And what that means now, they are only within a point above the chasing pack alongside Portsmouth and Hull, all those sides, and Cardiff, who are just above the bottom 3. So Derby really need to get their act together and get some points ASAP, otherwise they will start waltzing into a relegation battle. Sunderland were involved in a dramatic 0-0 draw, which doesn't sound like it should make sense, but Sunderland had 2 chances to beat Burnley at their place in Turf Moor, which Burnley are still undefeated in Turf Moor all season. I mean, Trafford with 2 penalty saves against Sidor. Unbelievable drama. Sunderland could have been the only team in the Championship, but likely the only team in the Championship to do the double over Burnley, but Burnley still managed to keep that clean sheet, and their unbelievable defensive season goes on. But Sunderland will be going into this game wanting to use that frustration to really make sure that they get 3 points this time around. They certainly have earned the right of wanting to get 3 points this time around. And I think as a prediction, with Derby low in confidence, I just don't see them beating Sunderland here. It's just a question to see if Sunderland will be clinical. I'm going to go for a narrow 1-0 win. I can see this one being quite a tight affair and a bit similar to the Burnley game. I don't think there'll be a lot of goal-mouth action, but it's just going to be determined to see if Sunderland can find the defence-splitting pass to get past Derby in this case. But I'm going to go for a 1-0 away victory to the Black Cats. Next up, we got Hull and QPR. Now, Hull live another day of not being in the relegation bottom three at the moment, because they did manage to pick up an away win, another away win for them, this time against Millwall. They themselves are struggling a little bit for form, but it's a good win for Hull, a crucial one actually, considering Cardiff and Portsmouth also picked up a win last weekend as well. It's a bit of a shame for them that they didn't manage to increase the gap from those sides, but the fact that they have won, the fact that they are still competing with the same points tallies as them, it means that they're not being cut adrift themselves. They are facing an informed QPR side who have won 3 games in a row. It was a win in the end against Plymouth, not necessarily the convincing scoreline, but it was by 1-0 in the end. A little bit of a patient play with this one, with that one, struggling to get going, I would say. As a prediction here, I can see this one being pretty close actually. I think Hull generally have improved their form and will really give QPR a game here. I might go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I've not predicted a draw yet, and I could see both of these sides offering enough to get something, but I don't think enough for either one of them to pick up 3 points here. Let me know what you think though in the comments. Next game we're covering is Middlesbrough versus West Brom. And I've got to say, with both of these sides, I'm kind of scratching my head of how they are going their way at the moment. Middlesbrough, with 1 win in 5, their form has not been particularly strong. They've not lost many games, but last time around, it was a rare occasion where they did lose a game, this time against Portsmouth. I'm a little bit annoyed at myself that I didn't go for a defeat for Middlesbrough, because I remember leaving a comment saying each time Middlesbrough have had to do a long away trip, it has ended up with them either throwing away a lead to draw or even losing the game entirely. And that was one of those examples. It was a bit of an unfortunate situation. The game was delayed due to a medical emergency in the home crowd, so it would have been a really disruptive flow to the game overall. And ultimately, it was Matt Ritchie that gave Portsmouth all 3 points in the end, and Middlesbrough just did not have enough to respond. West Brom, this would have been their first game with their new appointed coach, Tony Mowbray. I am so pleased that he's now got a job back in English football. A lot of neutral fans are happy for him as well, but he's recovered from obviously his illness last season. It was a draw against Stoke. It was one of those sort of kind of uninspiring games which was screaming out for a draw, but silly on me, didn't predict a draw in that game. But I've got to say, with this one, I think West Brom have actually been doing pretty well of picking up some consistency with either picking up a point. I mean, most of the time it's a point. They certainly have drawn the most games, West Brom, out of any Championship side this season, which does encourage me to predict another draw. Prediction here, Middlesbrough not winning a lot, West Brom winning a little bit more, but still not consistently. Let's go for another draw. 1-1 draw this time around, and it really would be a more terrible result for Middlesbrough, because they are missing the chance, Middlesbrough, to really start getting some space between them and the chasing pack for the top 6. And right now, West Brom will be a side seeking for that place for Middlesbrough's point of view. So pressure for both of them to try and cement their place in the top 6. Can any of them take it there? We'll have to find out when they play against each other in midweek. Next up, we've got Oxford and Luton Town. This is going to be intriguing. Oxford with another win under Gary Rowett, this time against Blackburn Rovers, as I previously mentioned. Cameron Brannigan getting the only goal for Oxford this time around, and it does really give a sense of optimism that Oxford have the squad to survive in the Championship. They've now cracked over 30 points already, so they are looking like that they could get over a point a game near the end of the season. And I would imagine if you can get over 46 points, I think they will be able to survive. So I don't think they could, feel too relaxed yet, but certainly Garrett has given them a really big boost. But a team that certainly could do with a boost right now is Luton Town. They are now at their lowest position in the Championship at any point of the season. They're down to 23rd. And it was a poor weekend, even though they didn't lose against Preston. And it was Matt Bloomfield's first game. So, you can't expect the standards to be too high as of yet. But right now, because of Portsmouth, because of Cardiff, and Hull all winning their games, they have now overtaken Luton. So Luton really need to start picking up these points ASAP. And on the road has been Luton's biggest problem. So this is going to be an area, if I'm going to be interested to see if it improves at all with Matt Bloomfield coming in. But honestly, with how Oxford are going about their way, the confidence they are now showing in their home games again, it's looking like the appointment of Gary Rowett is looking like a bit of a master stroke at the moment. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Oxford. I really do think they are going to carry on with their way. And it's just going to put so much pressure on Luton Town. It could really be a bit of a humdinger game, this one. But Luton do have the opportunity to put some pressure back on the other relegated, threatened sides. But I just think you can't write off Oxford with the confidence that they've currently got. Next to predict is Swansea and Sheffield United. I think this is going to be an interesting call. Very different results and outcomes for both of these sides. So Swansea were involved, of course, in the South Wales derby against Cardiff. And it was, I would go as far to say, their worst South Wales derby defeat for, I would like to say, over 10 years. It's been a long, long time since Cardiff have beaten Swansea in this derby. And it was a comprehensive win for Cardiff. A 3-0 victory. Cardiff nailed the game. They got the tactics spot on. And ultimately, Cardiff were up for it. And Swansea just did not offer enough to respond to whatever Cardiff were throwing at them. Callum Robinson with 2 goals as well, but Swansea with no reply. Sheffield United, they managed to win their game and they were momentarily top of the table as a result of that, with Burnley and Sunderland dropping points. They beat Norwich by 2-0. Harrison Burrows with the 2 goals in that game, and it could easily have been a third if Gustavo Hamer did manage to score from the halfway line and Angus Gunn didn't tip it over the goal. I think this game is going to be an interesting one to call. I do think both of these sides can offer some threats in their own regards, but honestly, with the confidence that Sheffield United have got at the moment, I find it very difficult not to back them in this sort of game. I think as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Sheffield United, but again, I wouldn't be too surprised if Swansea could find a result from it. But I think at the moment what we are seeing is that the top 4 especially are finding a level of consistency beyond the other teams in the Championship. So I'm going to go for a Sheffield United win. I think that's going to be the safest prediction for me. Next is Watford and Preston. So Watford picked up a win against Derby County, a good 2-0 away victory, and it's certainly been their away from Watford they've been wanting to improve. So this is certainly an encouraging performance, maybe against a Derby side low on confidence, but still, to get a clean sheet, Kayembe getting the second goal in that game, they did really, really well pretty much for most areas of the pitch there. Preston were involved in another clean sheet, a 0-0 draw against Luton. In fact, Preston been involved with a couple of 0-0 draws. Whilst it's good for them to keep clean sheets, they've not got a lot of points separating from them after being dragged into the relegation battle. So I do think Preston still have got to strike this perfect balance of picking up enough attacking performances that will give them 3 points, measuring with the conservative approach of making sure that you set up not to get beat. I think with this game here, I'm a little bit more confident with Watford based on their really strong home form all season, and Preston's away form has certainly not been very strong. I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory though. I do think there'll be very little goalmouth action, but I think it'll be Watford that just find enough chances to get past this Preston back line, and I think they'll take one of them, and it's why the only one goal in that regard. But let me know what you think as well in the comments. Next up, we've got Millwall and Cardiff. So very different results for both of these sides. I've already mentioned with Millwall losing against Hull City, and I've got to say, I've already praised the managerial bouts we've seen at Oxford, and to a small extent Hull City as well. But Millwall, they have not had that at all so far. They've not scored many goals since Alex Neil has come in, honestly. And they just seem a little bit lost at the moment. They just seem like they're low on confidence. I do think they are struggling to maintain a full healthy squad. But part of the problem is that right now they just don't look like scoring. Cardiff, I would arguably have the same problem, but then last game they showed they can score goals if they can take their chances, to score 3 past Swansea City. And I think based on the fact that Cardiff are looking a little bit more confident, they are starting to pick up wins a little bit more consistently and starting to score more consistently now, I think it's going to be Cardiff's game here. As a prediction, I'm actually going to go for a 1-0 away victory to Cardiff. This will really start putting some pressure on Millwall, and this will be a huge result for Cardiff. It will mean that they could start getting a bit of space between them and the bottom 3. I'm telling you now, all of these games relating to the sides fighting relegation is really going to be more heavily scrutinised in the best way possible, because the drama that we're going to see in that area of the table is just going to get more and more dramatic as each week goes. Next up, we see Leeds going up against Norwich. I have a small bit of sympathy for Norwich City to go away to Sheffield United and then go straight to an away game against Leeds United. That is pretty brutal, and honestly, I think we could get a similar scoreline to what we got from the Sheffield United game than what we could get in the Leeds game. So Norwich, of course, lost, as I mentioned, to Sheffield United and lost out, not scoring a goal either. Leeds managed to win against Sheffield Wednesday and keep a clean sheet, which is something we have not seen Leeds do all the time. We've seen them do it quite recently against Derby, but then obviously they were involved in that manic 3-3 draw against Hull. So right now, it's certainly one of those ones where I think at home Leeds are looking pretty unstoppable, and it's going to have to take something pretty extraordinary for Norwich to get something. I think they've certainly felt the absence of Borja Sainz now serving his ban, and whether that continues in that game, it's going to make things really, really difficult for Norwich to get any form of creativity to force Leeds into some pressure. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Leeds. I will actually predict Norwich to get a goal. I do back, them to get something here. I don't think Leeds are as strong defensively as Sheffield United and Burnley, for instance, but I just think Leeds have just got a little bit more style quality, and the fact that they're at home, I think it will give them a competitive edge. Next up, we've got Portsmouth and Stoke. This, I think, is going to be a really good game. So Portsmouth were involved in a win. Obviously, the game in itself was in difficult circumstances with the game being delayed by 35 minutes. But fair play to Matt Ritchie and to Portsmouth. They managed to get the win against a Middlesbrough side where, they are not necessarily a team that will be rolled over. It was a really, really good battling performance, and to come from behind and also win as well. Really strong elite mentality from this Portsmouth squad. They're facing a Stoke City side though, which are going on a bit of an unbeaten run at the moment, although they have drawn their last 3 games in a row. And actually, Latham goal, obviously he got recalled, I believe it was from Walsall back to Stoke City. It was the first goal that Stoke have scored actually in their last 3 games. So certainly, Walsall may regret letting him go, but certainly Stoke are going to enjoy having Latham Lowe back in the squad if he's going to get the moments to get those goals for Stoke. Here, though, I do think it's going to be a tough one. Mark Robbins has done pretty well to keep Stoke pretty compact, but Portsmouth at home have been really good, and honestly, Portsmouth will be needing to get these points with the fact that Cardiff and Hull are also picking up points a little bit more consistently now. The pressure is really going to be on them to see if they can get these results. And as a prediction, I'm going to say Portsmouth continue their strong home form, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Portsmouth. Now, a draw here wouldn't surprise me based on the way that Stoke are playing, but I just will back Portsmouth home form just a little bit more. I'm seeing a little bit of consistency with the performances that they're now playing at home park. But let me know what you think that too in the comments. Next up, we've got Sheffield Wednesday going up against Bristol City. Both of these sides lost away from home last time around. So Sheffield Wednesday, of course, lost out in a Yorkshire derby against Leeds United. And certainly the mistake from Beadle in goal just certainly didn't make things really good. Solomon couldn't have scored an easier goal if he tried. And I think certainly that mistake very early on made things very difficult for Sheffield Wednesday. They were chasing for most of the game. And when you're having to chase the game against Leeds, it's very difficult to get a result. With Bristol City, they were in the game more or less against Coventry for most of it. A bit of quality from Thomas Asante pulled the game away from Bristol City. What I'm just getting a little bit worried about them is that they are not necessarily looking really free scoring at this moment of time. So as a prediction here, honestly, a draw here wouldn't surprise me either. Both of these sides are literally right next to each other in the championship table. Not really a lot can separate them. They're right bang slap in the middle of it. So it could end in a very boring draw with two mid-table teams going up against each other here. But I think with home advantage, I think Sheffield Wednesday will pick up the win here. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Sheffield Wednesday. Despite not scoring against Leeds in their previous encounters, especially in Hillsborough, Sheffield Wednesday have been scoring a little bit more consistently. So I think I will predict another heavy scoring games for Sheffield Wednesday. And it will be another defeat for Bristol City as well. And the final game to predict, guys, is Plymouth and Burnley. So nearly opposite ends of the table playing against each other. But I'm really going to be intrigued to see how Plymouth go around their way with Muslich recently coming in. I don't think Muslich has actually been too bad with how he set up Plymouth at this moment of time. But the pressure's on them because they're now 5 points adrift from safety. So Plymouth needs to start picking up wins. And the best way to do that is at home. But they're facing a Burnley side who've only conceded, wait for it, 9 goals so far this season in 27 games. I think there was a stat that was pulled out that actually only the 04-05 Chelsea team have conceded less goals at this stage of the season at this very stage. That is extraordinary. That is breaking championship records if Burnley can somehow keep this level of consistency down. That is incredible. Here, I do think Plymouth will offer Burnley a unique challenge in the way that they do play. But I do think with how Burnley have been so good at keeping clean sheets, although it was put under threat last time around twice against Sunderland, I think they'll do it again here. And I think they will win by, I'm going to say 1-0. I think most of this is going to make things very difficult for Burnley to break this Plymouth side down. But I just think with a bit of patience, I think they might be able to get the 1 goal that will get them the result. But yeah, guys, that is my score predictions for week 28. As always, guys, please make sure you tell me your thoughts of the weekend or the weekday going into the comments down below. It really does give me a good insight of how you guys are feeling regarding the championship season. As I've mentioned already in the intro, life is very busy with study and work at the moment. So whether I will be able to keep up with this season remains to be seen, but I am going to try my best to keep up with it, and I'll keep you updated if there's going to have to be some changes. So that's going to wrap it up. Please do like, subscribe and share. All of those things really do help. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for showing this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care everyone and have fun.